Amrita. Oh, Sri Vrindavan, I am now very fortunate. I have become the object of your invaluable mercy. You have given me permission to reside within your boundaries, a permission that is prayed for by Lord Brahma, Shukadeva Goswami, Sanat Kumar, and others. This greatest of gifts gives me hope that someday I will directly serve the splendid, charming, eternally youthful, amorous, fair, and direct divine couple, Radha Shyam. O Sri Vrindavan, you are more affectionate than millions of mothers. Your supremely wonderful transcendental glories are forever recalled by Lakshmi, Shiva, and a host of great souls. Yes, it's true that you have now appeared before my eyes, and you have granted me Brajavas, which is sought by the most advanced devotees. Why do you now hesitate to allow me to serve the Rasik Janas that live within your boundaries? Punyat punyam mangalam mangalanam divyat divyan kamadam kamadanam sarat saram premadam premadanam anyat brinda ranyato manyatam ta nanyat vadami na shinomi na chintayami nanyat brajami na bhajami na chashrayami Pashami jagrati tata sapnapina nanyat Shri Radhikarati vinodavanam vinaham Radha Vaktra Sarodra Divya Marupam Radha Drisho Ranjanam Radha Vakshasi Divya Nilavasanam Radha Mana Shrinkalam Radha Navis Madhura Madhura Nana Pushpa Saurabhya Lavyam Madhura Madhura Bringa Shreni Jankara Ramyam Madhura Madhura Gayat Kokilam Shari Kirir Madhura Madhura Gushta Pranabandhu Parvandam Madhura Madhura Radha Kinkari Klipta Shayam Madhura Madhura Radha Krishna Keli Nikunjam Madhura Madhura Tat Premon Mandadali Brindam Madhura Madhura Brinda Ranyam Evashritosmi Jayati Jayati Radha Prema Sare Ragada Jayati Jayati Krishnas Tadrasa Paratrishna Jayati Jayati Brindam Tatsakinam Dvayakyam Jayati Jayati Brinda Kananam Tatsadama Namostu Vrindavana Sundarabhyam Namostu Vrindavana Vibramabhyam Namostu Vrindavana Jivanabhyam Namostu Vrindavana Nagarabhyam Namostu Vrindavana Sakriyabhyam Namostu Vrindavana Sarasabhyam Namostu Vrindavana Purnatabhyam Namostu Vrindavana Gocharabhyam Yadeva Satchit Rasarupa Budhir Vrindavanasta I'll read a translation, one prayer in the front, 316. Hey sadhakas, hanker after Sham, who is a clever bumblebee, hovering around the lotus flower of Radhika's sweet mouth. Sham is the black mascara bordering Kishori's lotus eyes, and Sham is the splendid blue chunari or veil covering Radha's breasts. Sham is the chain binding Radha's heart. Sham is the blue lotus growing the nectar of Radha's navel. Sham is the deer mark on the moons of Rasheshwari's effulgent toenails. And when you look at the moon, Radharani's toenails are like a row of moons. So when you look at the moon, it says that it looks like the mark of a deer on it. There's like a black part of the spot of the moon. And the Vedas, the Buddhists say it's a rabbit. Looks like the side view of a rabbit, but in the Indian literature they say it's a rabbit standing on the side with two ears like this. No, what did I say? Deer, a deer with two horns. So that in other words, that there's some dark. The moon is white, and there's some black mark, kalanka, some dark mark. But all that dark mark, that whole spot together looks like a deer. So Radharani's nails, fingernails or toenails are like a glowing white moon glistening, but there's a black mark there, and the black mark is Sham. Sham is reflected in her toenails. So now that's Prabhupada Saraswati's poetry and some of our invocation prayers. Now we're in chapter 7, starting new Sataka 7, more glories of Vrindavan, kaleidoscope glories of Vrindavan. If you're not living in Vrindavan, by hearing these classes, you may be encouraged to come to Vrindavan, visit Vrindavan, or move to Vrindavan. If you're already living here, then you'll appreciate, or it'll increase your appreciation of the place that we're trying to enter into. Because this is the real Vrindavan, we may be in kind of a facsimile of Vrindavan. Text 38, 240. Yad bhasa sakalam vibhati chirat asid dvaityam yad apyad bhuta premananda maharaseka jaladir bindur lavena priyam yad satam anusatva yogi sakalam yan madhuri vaibhava ascharyanam anumatra patram akilam vrindavanam tanu numa. Let us glorify Vrindavan, from the splendor of which everything is manifest, which delights the spiritual material worlds with a drop from the nectar ocean of wonderful bliss of pure love, from the existence of which all existence follows, and the wonders of the glory and sweetness of which the entire world contains only a fragment. Basically, Vrindavan is the origin. Anything wonderful, beautiful, effulgent in this world, it originates with Vrindavan. Because that's the topmost center of the spiritual world, Vrindavan. So that's the origin of everything. There's a part of Garga Samhita where Radharani is praying to Krishna, and she's mentioning all the different Purushas. And she's saying, when you become Vishnu, she's glorifying Krishna. When you become Vishnu, I become Lakshmi. When you become Varaha, I become Bhumi. When you become this, I become that. When you become the Adityas, I become this. And all the expansions of Krishna and the male forms throughout the universe of various avatars and incarnations, and Radharani is the counterpart. When you become Atri or whatever, she's the counterpart. When you become Shiva, I become Parvati, and like this. So Radharani is Radha and Krishna. This basic point is, as Radha and Krishna are the origin of all personal expressions of the Lord and His Shakti, then the Vrindavan is the original form of all places, of all existence. The Sandhini potency of Vrindavan, which is Balaram's form, expands and throughout the universe. Wherever you find something existing, that's just a spark of the original existence of Vrindavan. And that's what's being said here in text 38. The effulgence, this translation says, I offer my humble obeisances to Sri Vrindavan, by whose effulgence both products of matter and spirit are illuminated. So we generally consider that the objects of this world are illuminated by the sun in the day and the moon in the night. But the original sun is Vrindavan. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Andhakara. The Krishna Surya, Krishna's sun. So the effulgence, once Prabhupada was explaining, I don't know how the scientists would take it, but he said that the effulgence, of course, the center of Krishna is Vrindavan. He's centered there. And the Jyoti of Krishna lights up the whole spiritual world. The Brahma Jyoti is the effulgence of Krishna's body. Prabhupada explained that the Brahma Jyoti is reflected into the sun. And the sun is simply reflecting the light of the Brahma Jyoti. The scientists don't so much like that idea. They like to say that every second there's millions of atomic bombs going off or something. Prabhupada says the moon is cooling because It's covered. The moon is covered with gems, and it's reflecting the light of the sun. But there's a let's see, like a dry ice atmosphere around the moon, like a ice layer around the moon, like a halo around the moon. So when the sun hits the moon, the jeweled surface of the moon, it reflects off those jewels. Then when it passes through comes back towards us with through that ice layer, then it gives that cooling effect of the moon rays. I heard Prabhupada explain like this. Very interesting. The moon is covered with jewels. Because you've heard of pearls, no? That's the stone of the moon. But how is it? There's no oceans on the moon, or are there? I don't know. It says if you pass away in the dark time of the month, dark time of the year, then you go to the moon, Dakshinarayan. If you're very pious, you go from the earth planet to the moon. Moon is very near the earth. And you go there and enjoy heavenly delights, and take birth again in the earth. That's it. Then if you pass your body in the light time of the year, that's mentioned in the Gita, and what do you call it? The Uttarayana. Then you go to the sun planet and get purified. Anyways, we'll probably come back here and the Earth planet. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said it takes 3 births. If you're chanting 64 rounds a day, you'll pass one life in Aparad Nam. Then after that, next life you'll struggle and get to Namabhas. Then the 3rd life you'll chant Shuddhanam. Of course, we can only hope that this is our 3rd life. That's the good news. Just like in the Indian marriage, when a couple gets married, they do the pharaoh, or they go around, the husband and wife circumambulate the yagya 7 times to indicate that they'll be together 7 lifetimes. So this is the beauty of Vrindavan, is that this is the origin. Because if Krishna is the origin, Ham Sarvasya Prabhavo, then he's the origin of everything. Light, effulgence, all the elements. So this is just to remind us that the original place is Vrindavan. Attaining a drop of the ocean of whose ecstatic love the entire world becomes fully satisfied, and whose existence, everyone else's existence, is dependent, and whose wonderful sweetness the universe aspires to receive even a drop. So basically, everyone is searching, every jiva is searching for beauty and love and sweetness. This whole universe, everyone's looking for that. Demigods are looking for beautiful wives of other demigods to steal, and beautiful girls to snatch here and there. And by that, they think this is how they'll get the sweetness and love that they're searching for. But Vrindavandas Thakur is trying to point us towards the origin of beauty and the origin of sweetness and love. And if someone contacts just a drop of that original transcendental beauty, sweetness and love, then he can find the satisfaction that his heart is hankering for. Our hearts are anxious. They're not satisfied. There's a sense of lacking because we're not feeling fulfilled. So Vrindavanas Thakur is trying to say here that the whole world, if they just get a drop of that ocean of ecstatic love from Vrindavan, just a drop, then the whole world can submerge in that drop. So this was the mission of Prem Avatar, the golden avatar, the Prem Purushottam Lord Gauranga. He wanted to submerge the whole universe in a drop of that love. And all of his fleet, you could say, his fleet of devotees, his Sangha, Krishna Varnantri Sa Krishnam Sangopankashta Parshadam, his Sangha, his Parishads, they were all emissaries of that ocean of love. And they went in different directions. And they distributed the love of Vrindavan, Braj Bhakti, Braj Bhav. And no other incarnation of the Lord and no other avatar or appearance of the Lord has ever done that. Krishna came and relished that Braj Bhav here in this place of Vrindavan. The Lord Gauranga, he sent his Senapati Bhaktas far and wide. And he went to East Bengal and bathed in the Padma River, and he left a deposit there of his prema, of that Vrindavan prema. And he started saying, Narotam, Narotam, Narotam. Nara Uttam means a great high Nara, a very highly exalted human being. And everyone was saying, who's that? It's not us. And then they came to understand that future someone would appear there and bathe in that river. It's a prophecy. They have these movies, the prophecy, based on the Bible or whatever. So the prophecy was made by Gauranga, Narotam, Narotam, that he left his prem in the Padma River. And Narotam appeared there in Keturi, I suppose, in East Bengal. And then that prophecy manifests, and he bathed there and he received that prema. And then after he distributed it all over Manipur especially, and Assam and other points over there, he was given that part of the world. Then he returned to the Padma River and returned the prema to the Padma River. Because he left his body, they bathed his body, I believe so. And his body dissolved because his body was made of prem ras. Gauranga's prem ras, because of prem is ras, it's liquid, it's flowing, it's moving. So it's a natural place to deposit in a river. Like a nice storage place. So then he entered that same river and became again merged back into that river. The prem merged back into that river. But the river is still flowing because the river of Gauranga prem flows in the hearts of the pure devotees. So wherever they go, they carry that river and distribute it to others. So this is Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur. He's trying to say that the world can be illuminated by Vrindavan and all hearts can be fulfilled by Braja Prem, and everyone can become experience wonderful sweetness by getting a drop of Braja Prem. You see, even the common man, they hear about Kurukshetra Krishna and Dwarkadish Krishna, the king, the ruler, the moralist, the hero, but they don't find sweetness there. They find their heart satisfaction in Krishna, Gopal. How many people have deities of Dwarkadish in their house? But how many people have deities of Gopal in their house? Because you live with someone you like to live with. You get one girl and put her in your house because you want to live with that girl. So Krishna can come in any form you choose. But somehow people's hearts naturally choose Gopal. He's popular. Because he's sweet. He's funny. He's a balak. So although he doesn't appear to be very, very powerful, but it's the beauty, it's the charm and the sweetness which people are looking for. And they find it in Gopal. And some jivas, they find sweetness in Radha and Krishna. There's many more deities of Gopal. Even Gopal has made inroads to Radhakund. When we first came here in 77 to Radhakund, the only Gopal Mandir that we could find, a deity of Gopal on the Parikram Marg, was in the Manipur Gopal Mandir. All the other temples only had Radha Gopinath or Radha Govinda for years, even up until, I don't know, 2000 or so. Maybe last 10 or 15 years at least, maybe less. Gopal is starting to pop up here and there. Popular demand. It reminds me in the Parikram Marg there was one Govardhan Shil that was established there. You're going on Vrindavan Parikram Marg, and right, you're going, used to be all through the sand, and it's all quiet area in the back. And you finally come back to civilization. When you got to the road, the Vrindavan Mathura road, and then you cross that road and went a little further, then you'd be at ISKCON, that last leg. But before that road on the right-hand side, someone established a big Govardhan Shila there. It's quite big, and people go around it. There's a little tiny wall there. But when he first came there, he was just a Govardhan Shila. Then after about a few months, somebody put a Shiva Linga in front of him to share the same altar. So they thought, wait a minute, Shiva should be here too. Why just Giriraj? And I think somebody else added a Hanuman there too. So they thought Giriraj was lonely or something. So this seems to be a speciality in India. They always add a few more deities. No, there's always room for another deity. 653. Narasta Chayagunyam Harirasada Punyam Sakripaya Darayan Yantar Bhattam Vimala Parananda Suganam Hiram Brindaranyam Bahada Tula Banduriya Susama Mahavanyam Danya Shrayati Bahumanya Sri Jagatam. Saraswati Pad says, any fortunate person certainly becomes glorious within the three worlds by taking shelter of Sri Vrindavan, which is beyond the three modes of material nature. Vrindavan bestows ecstatic love for Krishna. And Vrindavan is most auspicious. Vrindavan has manifested in this world of her own sweet will, and which is the unique, and Vrindavan is the unique, ecstatic, sanctified forest. Unique, ecstatic, sanctified forest. That's Vrindavan. Another translation, he who takes shelter of Vrindavan, which is beyond the modes of nature, which is by its own mercy, which by her own mercy shines on earth. Vrindavan generously gives the nectar of pure love for Lord Hari. And Vrindavan is filled with splendid bliss and flooded with unequaled sweetness. And Vrindavan is honored in the three worlds. Because the three worlds means Bhur Bhuva Swa. And those worlds are ruled by various demigods. And they come down here, they worship Vrindavan. The Lord of the higher world, the highest world is Satyaloka, Brahma, Bhur Swa, and go to the highest plane. Because Bhur Swa, then above that, Bhur Swa, that's the plane of this of the demigods, Indra, Chandra. But then beyond that, you have Janalok, Maharlok, Tapalok, Satyalok. And those, Satyalok is the highest. Brahma Bhuvana Loke, Punar Avartin Arjuna. That Brahma comes down and worships Krishna every day. In fact, he offers his head to Vrindavan. All four heads he bows to Vrindavan. He says, Krishna, I honor your Vrindavan. Because it says here that Vrindavan is honored by the three worlds. So Brahma is honoring Vrindavan. Lord Brahma is honoring. He's the Lord of the topmost part of the world, Satyaloka. And he's honoring Vrindavan with his four heads. He says, I offer, not only bowing down, but he offers his four heads. Take my four heads and have Leela there. So he offers his 4 heads in the service of Radharani. And his 4 heads become the 4 mountains of Varsana. Varsana Dhama ki jai. There's Dangar, Vilaskar, Mangar, and the Naralaji's Mandir. It's one mountain. And Brahma is there. On the way up the hill, there's a small temple of Brahma also. And right near that temple, there's a small footprint of Radharani in the rock. You ever saw? A little tiny. You saw? It's like this big. Just big enough to fit in our heart. The universe is, the Vrindavan is honored by the 3 worlds. In one translation says someone becomes glorious if they take shelter of Vrindavan. That's also true. Vrindavan manifested out of her own sweet will. Nirasta Chaigunyam Hari Rasada Punyam. Nirasta Chaigunyam Hari Rasada Punyam Sakripaya. Dharanyantara Bhattam Bimala Paramananda Subhalam. Vrindaranyam Atur Madhurya Sushama. Mahavanyam Danyas Shayati Bahumanyas Jagatam. He who takes shelter of Vrindavan, which is beyond the modes of nature, by which its own mercy shines on the earth. Vrindavan generously gives the nectar of pure love for Lord Hari. So this is her mercy. But one becomes pious, punyam, and pure also by living here. That's why we so much encourage everyone. Somehow or other, just stay here. Text 56. Now we'll study text 56 through 66. Uchavacha viganita brahmanandavali manditam trigunam prakritim tirtva jadadukantaratmikam aparavara vistaram ekamananda sagaram swaprakasha mahaswacha jyoti rupam param param. All glories to the unlimited, unfathomable ocean of transcendental amorous pastimes, which is situated beyond the 3 modes of material nature, found in the innumerable universes that are filled with material universes of miseries. That unfathomable ocean of transcendental amorous pastimes known as Vrindavan is self-effulgent, pure, and without any tinge of contamination. Jada Dukantara. Jada. That's the material world. No? Jada Dukkha. Anrit Atmikam. Filled with miseries. These universes. Inside these universes, so much dukkha. Aparavara Vistaram Ekamananda Sagaram Swaprakash Mahaswacha Jyoti Rupam Paramparam. Beyond the world of the 3 modes of nature, which is decorated with numberless universes and filled with suffering, lies a shoreless ocean of bliss. That is the self-manifested brilliant effulgence of the spiritual world, now descended on this earth planet. And this entire universe disappears at Pralaya. Vrindavan, the lotus of Vrindavan, floats on those flood waters, unaffected, unchanged, and unmoved, because it's a transcendental realm. Shoreless ocean of bliss. Ekamananda Sagaram. I guess the Paravara Vistara means shoreless, huh? Aparavara Vistaram Ekamananda Sagaram. Ananda Sagar. We're in Bhavasagar. Bhavasagar means the ocean of material existence. 58. Chaitanya Matra Nirvasam Nistarangam Nirakulam Nirastagya Takraryam Param Brahmeti Advidu. According to learned scholars, the definition of Supreme Brahman is that which is the source of all consciousness, and which is devoid of the contaminations of agitation, ignorance, and the effects of ignorance. Chaitanya Nirvasam. Well, that's the Supreme Brahman. No agitation, no ignorance, and no effects of ignorance. That's 58. The wise know the spiritual effulgence, free from the ways of material change and without suffering ignorance. Without suffering ignorance or the activities of ignorance as the Supreme Brahman. So that's the Supreme Brahman. We went from Brajadam to the Supreme Brahman. This is the stream of consciousness of the author who is an ecstatic Premika Bhakta. 1 minute he's talking about, one verse he'll talk about the Kunja Leela of Radha and Krishna. Next verse he'll talk about the perils of seeing a woman's face. And then next verse he'll talk about Radha and Krishna's Ras Leela. The next verse he'll talk about, I'm attached to my material body. So sometimes it escapes the ordinary flow of logic. The movement, Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra. It's very difficult to understand the mudras, the postures, the gestures. Mudras. I can dance, they have mudras. Teach all the kids all the mudras. So Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra, and their actions, their Kriya means their actions, their activities, the movements of their posture, their activities, their speech, their line of thinking, it escapes the ordinary person completely, and even the devotee the neophyte devotee cannot approach the level of consciousness or activity of the advanced devotee. You have stories in the Bhagavatam where Parvati is sitting on the naked lap of Shiva, Param Vaishnav Shiva, Mahajan, he's a Mahajan. Swayambur Narada Shambhu, Lado Janako Bhishmo, Bilo Janaka Bhishmo, Baliravaya Sakirvayam. In the sixth canto of Bhagavatam, Yamaraj is preaching to the Yamaduts about who are the great acharyas of Vedic wisdom, and he includes himself last in the list. Vayam, me too. He says Swayambhuva Manu, Narada Muni, and Lord Shankarshan Shiva. So sometimes we find in the sixth canto of Bhagavatam, Parvati she's sitting on the naked lap of Shiva, and Shiva is discoursing on Harikatha, celibacy. And he's giving a discourse on celibacy to the rishis, and they're appreciating very much. And King Chitraketu was cruising in his flower airplane Ferrari, and he kind of snickered at that. He mildly laughed, and Lord Shiva didn't mind because he's a great bhakta of Lord Vishnu, as is Lord Shiva. He's basically a god brother of Shiva. Shiva worships Sankarshan Vishnu, and Chitraketu worships Vishnu. He was worshipping Vishnu while he was flying around, singing songs about Vishnu with a bunch of Gandharvas and Kinnaras and Kinnaris. And he was had his ghetto blaster out the back of his flower airplane. It was blasting off the universe with the latest sounds from, Parsane Wali Radhe Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. So he was cruising around the universe, around the neighborhood with his convertible down and his radio on full blast. And this way, he was entertaining everyone with the glories of Krishna, like we see here at Govardhan Mark. People come around with these huge floats and things, and so many glories of Krishna being belted out of those speakers. And Shiva didn't pay any heed to it, but Parvati said, "What's this? You should show more respect to my husband. He cursed him to become a demon, but he was a devotee demon, a really good devotee demon. We're also demons, but we're not good devotee demons." Vritrasura is the hero of the sixth canto. I mean, Ajamil, there's many heroes. The sixth canto is full of heroes. And Ajamil is a big one. Chitraketu, of course, that's Vritrasura is the hero there. His prayers are full of Gopi Bhav, Braj Bhakti. The Sharanagati Bhav of the Gopis is revealed by Vritrasura. Vritrasura Upakya. The prayers of Vritrasura. Many of the devotees get great inspiration. The Saragrahi Vaishnavas seeking the essence of love, prema, they get great inspiration from the prayers of Vritrasura in the sixth canto, and there are wonderful purports there by Vishwanath and other acharyas. So this is the thing. Now text 59. Taranta Paramashcharyam Jyotir Vichintaya Pravaniya Mahananda Sandrabdim Ati Nirmalam. So we heard about the Supreme Brahman, how there was free from all ignorance, and want to go beyond that Brahman and find out what's behind it all. Behind that Supreme Brahman is the beautiful form of Krishna. So Saraswati Pad was turning his mind from the beauty of Vrindavan to the beauty of Krishna. While approaching the beauty of Krishna, he had to pass through the Brahman, the Supreme Brahman that surrounds Krishna and surrounds all the Vaikuntha planets. And you had to cross over the entire effulgent region of the Paravyam and Vaikuntha and land in that sweet realm of Vrindavan. And he's there now, he's arrived there. And he's he's telling us what he's seeing there, advising us to meditate on what he's seeing. So in this verse, he's telling us just meditate on Krishna's wonderful transcendental abode, which is way beyond the Supreme Brahman that I just described. And although the Brahman was free from defects and there's no ignorance or agitation, but now let's get to the real essence. This Krishna's form, meditate on that abode of Krishna, that Haridam, is supremely relishable, and it's the ocean of pure transcendental bliss. As Prabhupada says it, that's why we say it like that. He says bliss, just like all the yogis from India. They say bliss. New York, 66, 69. Bliss. So this is the Sandra Abdim Ati Nirmalam. Mahananda, just taste that bliss, Charvaniya Mahananda. Taste that intense joy and bliss of the spiritual world, which is so constant. It's a concentrated ocean of the greatest bliss. And it's completely topmost expression of purity. This is the land of Vrindavan. It's pure, Ati Nirmalam, but it is Sandrabdim, Mahananda Sandra. It's concentrated, packed. We're approaching the land of bliss. So this is, let's see another translation to this one. 59. Please meditate on the ocean of very sweet bliss That is the very pure, glorious, and wonderful splendor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead there. So as I mentioned, this book is telling to meditate on the abode, and the other translation is saying meditate on who's in the abode. Tadantak Paramashcharyam. Because in that Tadanta means in that place. In that place. There's something Paramashcharyam. And that most Paramashcharyam, the most amazing, wonderful feature of that abode is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the other translator is directing our meditation to the person of Godhead. Text 16. Mahasu Vistiratamam Mahojwala Tamam Param Lokadi Birgani Bhaver Mahitam Hadadbhutam. That abode is vast, effulgent, and simply wonderful. All their planets constantly glorify that abode. That wonderful realm is very large and splendid and glorified by loving devotees. Glorified by loving devotees. Lokadi Bir Gani Bhaver. So this is the abode. Meditate on Vrindavan. It's transcendental. Oh no, it's the next verse. It's very wonderful. Adbhutam, Mahad Adbhutam. All their planets are glorifying that abode. 61. Tarantare tato yatyas charyam jyotirnusmara karshyam maha swachatamam paravara vivarjitam. Then just meditate on the more brightly shining abode that is situated beyond the transcendental abode of the Supreme Lord. It is black, most transparent, and devoid of beginning or end. It's going on farther into the expanse of the spiritual firmament. Within that splendor is a very wonderful, very great, limitless splendor of Lord Krishna. Please meditate in this way. This one translator is pretty bent on the personal viewpoint. 62. Mahadiptam Maharamyam Mahamohanam Adbhutam Mahapremati Sundaryam Mahananda Rasotsavam. That great island is most sublime, most enchanting, most wonderful, charming, and full of bliss and ecstatic love. That splendor is very effulgent, delightful, charming, wonderful, and beautiful. It is filled with great transcendental love and is a great festival of nectar, of great transcendental bliss. That's nice. Very similar. Rasotsavam, festival of rasa. A rasa festival. To durantare jyoti sarvashcharyotavadi sarvavati sumaho jwalam sarvotamattamam. All glories to the self-illuminating abode that is situated beyond this abode, and which is the limit of all wonder. It is the supreme abode of the Lord because it illuminates even the most shining objects. So I think we're going from abode to abode to abode here. It's like Gopakumar in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. He's going from one planet to another planet, from one level to another level. From Ayodhya to Dwarka, from Dwarka to Vrindavan to Puri. So the author is taking us up, and away, as they say. Different realms. Are you ready? We're getting closer. All glories to that self-illuminating abode that is beyond this abode, and which is the limit of all wonder. In other words, so far we've been describing the Vaikuntha realm, and which is so wonderful and enchanting and this and that, all that. It is the supreme abode of the Lord because it illuminates even the most shining objects. Deep within that splendid world is the most wonderful, splendid, and exalted realm. The suspense is building. we going? We're traveling at light years per second. We're going to this abode and that abode. Oh, this one's wonderful. It's ecstatic. It's full of love. No, keep going. Lord Chaitanya told Ramananda Roy, don't stop. Don't stop with Varnashram Dharma, and don't stop with Karma Samarpanam, and don't stop with this. Don't stop with Karma Mishra Bhakti, and don't stop with Gyan Mishra Bhakti, and don't stop with Dasya Bhakti, and don't stop with Sakya Bhakti, and don't stop with Vatsalya Bhakti, and don't stop. And then he got to Prem Vivarta, then he said, stop. That's enough. So we're going on. Hang on to fasten your seatbelts. 64. Mahavaimalya Simanta Parananda Paravedu Krishna Prema Rasardinam Charama Paramodaya. This is like a wild mouse ride in the fun park. It's going higher and higher and higher. It's like when Krishna swings with Radharani. She just wants to swing slow and peacefully, listen to the trees, leaves in the trees fluttering. And Krishna is very mischievous. So he's pushing off with his feet and he signals to the gopis. Manjari's pushing him from the front and back, faster, faster, and he's pushing off with his feet. They're going faster and faster, and Radharani's becoming frightened, and they're going higher and higher. They go so high that their backs are touching the branches of the tree, and finally what happens is the swing goes higher and higher and higher, and finally it swings all the way around, 360 degrees. It makes a complete circle, and Radha and Krishna fly out the swing, and Krishna lands on his feet just like a cat in the Shringadev. Cats, if you flip them up in the air, they always land on their feet. So Krishna jumps off just flies off the swing like some acrobat out of a movie, and lands on his feet, and then Radharani comes down. And Krishna grabs her in a tight embrace. So we're traveling through these universes, but we're getting to the point. That abode is the limit of all purity, all transcendental happiness, and the wealth of transcendental mellows of ecstatic love for Krishna. Krishna Prema Rasardinam. That was 64. And that splendid realm is the ultimate limit of purity, the ultimate limit of transcendental bliss, the ultimate limit of transcendental opulences that are nectaring mellows of spiritual love for Krishna. So Leela, I told you, is going on in that abode which we're approaching. Kamanya rasamatre jat sparsha nitya vivarjitam maha shuddha kama bija majatmat unmadam rasam. Vrindavan is completely aloof from any touch of mellow other than the mellow of eternal conjugal love. There you have it. Yeah, we're explaining. Only Shringar Ras. Kamanyam Ras, Kamaras, Kamanuga Bhakti. Kamanuga Bhakti of those Sakhis. Kamanya Rasamatre Yat Sparsha Nitya Vivarjidam. For time immemorial, nothing else touches that land of Vrindavan. Because of this Mahashuddha, the greatest expression, the most pure and highest, topmost pure expression of the Kama Bij, the seed of desire, the seed of love, is expressed there in that realm, not in Vaikuntha. Kama Bij is also in Vaikuntha. Kling, Kama Bij. I can't even touch. Nothing touches there. Raj Atmat Yun Madam Rasam. Vrindavan is the most sanctified personification of Kama Bij, and therefore overwhelmingly ecstatic. Unmad Rasam. The Kama Bij expresses it, the seed of conjugal love. The seed of desire expresses itself there in Vrindavan to the level of Mahabhav, Unmad, Divyonmad Mahabhav. Unmad Rasam, not possible anywhere in the other realms of Vaikuntha that we just traveled over. And not even possible in Dwarka. There's only a touch of Rudha Bhav, when the queens are in separation from Krishna and they're crying out. It's called the Mahishi Gita, chapter 90 of the 10th canto. There's a touch of Rudha Bhav, but not Adi Rudha. Some touch of Mahabhav, but just hardly anything. That's Dwarka. Vaikuntha, forget it. Only 2.5 rasas there. Shanta Das and half of Madhurya. There's no question of feeling separation in regular marriage. Only in Parakya, half of Madhurya Ras is there in Vaikuntha. Swakya. Lakshmi is lawfully, legally married to Narayan. He's always there, she's always there. Soham. Humdrum, Soham. But there's that thrill, that suspense, that possibility of meeting or not meeting, or that separation, or the fleeting moments of meeting, or extended meetings, or it's not there, only in Parakya Ras, Parakya Bhav. So therefore this Mahabhav is a feature of this viraha, separation. Not possible even in Dwarka, in a true form. Vishwanath Chakravarti comments in Sartadarshi in 90th chapter, he calls it Rudha Bhav. It's the verse is that also in Sanskrit, Vyasadeva. But it's an abhas, a semblance of the gopis. Text 66. Tadantas Tadgaram Bhati Shrimad Vrindavanam Vanam Purna Madhurya Samrajyam Purna Ananda Chamatkriti. We made it. We almost got stuck in those other great islands of bliss and purity. Those planetary islands floating in the Paravyom, vast. Paravyom, Prabhupada translated Paravyom as what? Spiritual sky. Going back, Godhead. Going back home, back to the spiritual sky. And we had an incense company, and when I was in LA there was an incense company in Culver City called Spiritual Sky Incense. And we used to sell those in the parking lots. Night Queen was was purple in color, was one of the flavors. Strawberry, Night Queen, jasmine, vanilla. We used to have a bag full of Bhagavatams and incense. Want some incense? And people say, what is it? They were so out of it in those days, in the 70s. And we say it's a car freshener. Because they had these little cardboard things that smell like pine cones. A little cardboard thing dipped in pine needles or something, pine oil. So people put it in their car because they smoke in the car and it stinks and this and that. And so it's like air freshener people put in their bathrooms and things. So it's very common car freshener. So we introduced the Spiritual Sky Incense as car fresheners, because we did parking lots with these. In the airport we didn't do that. On Saturday was slow in the airport, Monday to Friday the business event. So Saturdays you went to the parking lots, Kmart and Safeway and Pathmark and Sears and Roebuck and Macy's and malls and all these places over there, and ran around the parking lots with our incense and Bhagavatams. It's so funny. We were selling incense all day long. We never lit one stick. On the book distribution, Harinam, I told you one pastime. Not pastime, but one anecdote. When I was about to, they told me, he said, you walk with a kirtan, you walk with a party. It was like first Harinam, and because they had flags, and they had incense and conch shells and so many things they would take out, and big plastic bags full of little paper bags of popcorn, about 200 grams of popcorn, and we distribute free popcorn prasad. It's really nice, really nice, very nice prasad actually. People like it a lot. Hot, fresh popcorn with nice ghee, and so it would be at night at Hollywood Boulevard or in the other place in LA, Hollywood Boulevard, or the UCLA campus. Where is that located? Some city, I forget. Westwood. Westwood is a part of LA where the UCLA campus is. Westwood. You were from San Francisco. So we go to the UCLA campus, and they said, light the incense. So I have a big bag full of incense, and the whole time we're going around burning incense. So I had this big stack, and then I lit it, and I told this story recently, and it caught on fire, and I was going like this. I had about 100 sticks, and I couldn't put it out. So I just said, okay, I just held it like this, and I'm walking down the street, and people were looking at me, these Hare Krishnas are going to burn somebody up or something, bearing torches and going through the street with flaming torches. Probably came out in the newspaper next day. Mad Krishnas hit Hollywood with flaming torches or something. So I got down close to my hand and then I flipped it in the street. That was a funny time. The early days of far away from the Brajadam. That's the Tapostan. Prabhudatta Desh. This is, what was that, 66. In that realm of Vrindavan, oh wait a minute. Within that Vrindavan is a more splendid realm that is the beautiful forest of Vrindavan. The forest of Vrindavan is a great empire of complete transcendental sweetness. Is a great wonder of complete transcendental bliss. And then we have, quite abbreviated here. Within this abode lies the forest of Vrindavan, which is the most amazing kingdom of complete sweetness. Purna Madhurya Samrajyam. Srimad Vrindavanam Vanam Tarantas Tadghanam Bhati. It's saturated. Vrindavan is saturated. It's thick. It's condensed milk. Burfi. You cook down milk, it becomes condensed milk. And you cook down condensed milk, and it becomes burfi. And some burfis are better than other burfis. There's grade 1 burfi, grade 2, grade 3. USDA. Isn't it? One of the most world's famous burfis was at Bhaktivedanta Manor. Their name is deities Radha Gokulananda's Mahaprasad. And there are some special devotees there, some special cooks over there. I don't remember their names, but some ladies or gentlemen, I don't remember. But it was considered that you did a lot of punya and a lot of tapasya, that if someone would come to you and give you some of that burfi, consider that after maybe 5 or 6 years of Chaturmasya Brats and 10 or 20 Ekadasi, Nirjala Ekadasi Jagarans, and you may have enough punya sukriti to get a piece of burfi from Radha Gokulananda. So this particular lady has a very pure bhav. There's one lady, Pujari there, devotee, cooking there. And she took a sankalpa in front of Gokulananda and Radharani, that I'm cooking, my service, Guru Seva, is to cook your milk sweets, sandesh and sweet rice and burfi and rasmalai, etc. And this particular lady has a very pure bhav and a pure seva bhav, mood of seva. No payment, no kickback, no commission, no profit. What's in it for me doesn't exist in her consciousness. She says her bhav was, my Lord, my Guru has asked me to serve you by this service. This is my service. It was like a manjari. Manjari may have some service, so she just wants to do it perfectly. So this lady, lady devotee, she said, my Lord, if you please empower me to serve you, because how can I serve you? Radharani is cooking for you. How can I match the cooking of Radharani? But somehow in this particular plane of Archa Vigraha worship, I've been asked to cook for you. So please empower me to cook beautifully and nicely so you'll be truly pleased. And I promise you that I won't eat any of this Mahaprasadam. I won't taste any of it, derive any pleasure or satisfaction for my own senses, but just make it come out wonderful and pleasing. I suppose she is begging Radharani because everything goes through Radharani's hand. Radharani, please empower me to please your Shamasundar. Your Gokulananda. And apparently her prayers were answered. The sincerity of her heart was accepted by the Lord. And it's been resoundingly proven by the universal acceptance and approval of all the Vaishnavas. If every Vaishnava approves of what you're doing, then you must be doing something right. But in some cases, some may approve and some may disapprove. But when there's universal acceptance, then that's the best. Not always possible in this age of difference. But somehow this Burfi has become the world's famous standard of excellence. So we can only... anyway, that's Vrindavan. That consciousness of that devotee, that's Vrindavan consciousness. And that's what we're reading about, this text 66. It says that that forest in Vrindavan is a great empire. You see that in the translation, Samrajyam. Samrajyam. It's a great empire of the most perfect sweetness, the most perfect nectar, and a host of all fortunate trees, vines, birds, deer, and other creatures. So what makes Vrindavan sweet is that Madhurya Purushottam Krishna and all the Madhurya Bhaktas that are fully and totally dedicated to the pleasure of Krishna. So that makes Vrindavan so supremely sweet. It's called Samartha Rati. The gopis have Samartha Rati. They don't want any kickback. But the queens of Dwarka, and queens of Dwarka and the Lakshmis of Vaikuntha, their rati, or their loving attachment and sweetness of their love, is tinged with a touch of transcendental desire to derive some happiness from their beloved Vishnu or Dwarkadish. So the Acharyas categorize their pure love and prema as less pure. It's called Samanjasa. Samanjasa Rati. There's something for them. They want 99.9% everything for Krishna's pleasure, Dwarkadish or Vishnu's pleasure, but 1% they want experience some happiness. The gopis there's no self there. There's no consideration of self. Their selves don't exist. The totality of their selves has merged into the heart and mind of Krishna, only existing for his pleasure. So their gopis are described self-forgetful. They don't even know who they are or where they are. They're lost in the ocean of dedication, floating on waves of surrender and moment-to-moment service to Krishna. They don't know. They have to sometimes even think they're Krishna. We never find any account of Lakshmi forgetting that she's Lakshmi. And you never find any account of Rukmini forgetting she's Rukmini. She's very proud of that fact. She always remembers I'm number one. So that Satyabhama doesn't get out of line. So now there's one more verse in this chapter. Verse 77. Let's go to that one. This is Satika 7. Trijali kula sannada datta shavana sokkaya divya kamala karpura parago jvala balake. more kaleidoscope glories of Vrindavan. Vrindavan Mahima. The sweet sounds of the birds and bees are very pleasing to the ears. Dvija, Ali. Dvija birds, Ali bees. Kula, those groups and families. Sannada, complete sound. Dakta Shavana Sokeya. They give happiness to the ears. Divya Komala Karpura. The banks of the Yamuna are filled with sand that resembles soft powdered camphor. Divya Komala, transcendently soft. So what is the difference between Komal and Divya Komal? Because it says Divya Komala Karpura Parag means dust, doesn't it? It's fine powder. Banks of the Yamuna and the soft powdered camphor white sands of the banks of the Yamuna, what distinguishes it, makes it transcendental, is the pastimes of the transcendent Lord and his lady, the divine couple, Radha Gopinath. And every particle of that sand, what we call sand, is actually prema. So that's prema is transcendental. That is the softest thing. Divya Komala Karpura. When one contacts prema, a particle of that dust, or you can say that sand on the banks of the Jamuna, if we contact that, our hearts will become soft, komal, with those transcendental sentiments, divya komal, and our hearts will become fragrant like camphor, and very cool like camphor. Camphor is cooling. Camphor has some characteristics. It's white, so it gives the impression of purity. Purity is associated with shukla, the white color. And camphor is fragrant, and it's an attractive fragrance. And the combination of that purity and that whiteness and that fragrance creates a cooling effect. Purity itself is cooling. When we contact purity, it cools the mind. If we contact a pure devotee, our minds become cool like camphor. If we contact a pure abode, even in nature, we come to some pure scenery, our minds become cool. Beautiful lakes surrounded by green trees, and blue sky and puffy white clouds blowing overhead. It's purity, natural purity of nature, material purity. Our minds become fresh, cool, calm, sattva-gun. This is the banks of Jamuna. Sweet sounds of birds and bees are pleasing to the ears. The sweet sounds of birds and bees by the Yamuna delight the ears. The entire area of the Yamuna bears a splendid and delicate scent of camphor pollen. That's very nice. Because this word actually means pollen. Parag, ujvala. Parag, the word parag means pollen. Dust inside the flowers. Ujvala, it's shining, brilliant. They say, I've read here and there, that karpur is produced, natural karpur is produced from a tree that looks something like a banana tree. Kind of like a plant type tree. It's soft. And the inside core of that, there's camphor in there or something. It's not a regular big hard bark and all that kind of thing. Tree. The core of that, but it's in the banana family. Just like palm trees. Palm trees make dates, but there's also a palm tree that makes betel. They're growing in by the long road. There's a group of, they're not very tall. They're only about 15 feet tall. Jananivas planted them there right next to Prabhupada's garden. Lotus building and a long building. It's about 8 or 6 or 8 of them there when I was there a few years ago. And they're not tall. And they take off the, what do you call it? Sapari, or betel nut. And then he has a special cutter for cutting. He dries it out, then he cuts it in little flakes, like make the Lord's tumble batika for Radha Madhav. So this is a nice translation. The great stream of the sweet, is it? No. The entire area bears the splendid and delicate scent of camphor pollen. So this is a natural incense in the air. There's Malayan breezes blowing, carrying sandalwood in the air. And there's these trees, these banana-like trees, camphor trees emitting camphor. The flowers of the camphor tree are emitting camphor scent to saturate the air. Because what happens on the banks of the Yamuna, those powdery, those silvery, powdery, sylvan, what do they call it? Silvery banks of the Yamuna, what goes on there? Rasa dance, Yamuna Pulina, the Rasa Lila. So when you dance, you perspire, you become hot. And what a better way to cool down than to get sandalwood breezes blowing in your face. Sometimes you go in these temples when they have some utsav, full bungalow. They have some weird contraption with a big propeller blade and some kind of big fan, standing fan, and there's some little vial of some kind of fake scent or something, and it blows little particles of water through the air. So all the people, it's in the summertime, they have these full bungalows, so in the air they're blowing this fragrant air. The air is blowing, cool air, some type of air is blowing from this fan, and these little water particles scented with rose or kewra or something. Have you ever smelled? And some of these temples, they also use them in weddings and stuff, and pandals. Some funky contraption costs about 500 rupees or something. Makes a lot of noise. And all the kids stand in front of it all the time. Adults don't pay much attention, but so that's a pretty artificial idea. But here we're hearing about the real thing. This is a real 3-dimensional experience, or a 4-dimensional experience. When Radha and Krishna are having rasa dance, they're relishing the sights and the sounds and the fragrances and the touch. All their senses are fully enveloped and relishing the ras, sparsha ras, and the adhara amrita, the adhara amrita ras of kissing each other and the touch of their bodies, arm to arm, shoulder to shoulder, cheek to cheek, hand to hand, and the sparsha rasa, and then the gandha rasa. We're hearing about the gandha rasa, the fragrance of the Malay.
Govinda Adi Purusha Tamaham Bhajami Vishnu Brahmatam Arvindadayatasha Bhagavatam Samasitam Buddhasundaram Bandhakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govinda Adi Purusha Tamaham Bhajami Niyasya Sakale Driya Vritti Manti Pashanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jaya Vigrahasya Govinda Adipurusha Tamaham Bhajami Govinda Adipurusha Bhajami Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Imate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paśyatya Desadarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paśyatya Desadarine Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shriya Vaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Vajabhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Goshta Bihari Nanda Jasomati Chita Hari Dhira Damodara Ishaye Kana Bhova Mandire Basi Karaha Bojana Nanderani Deshi Vashi Giri Baradari Baladeva Saha Sokha Vaise Sari Sari Shukta Shakhari Vaji Lalita Kushmanda Dalidana Dugda Tumi Dadi Mocha Kanda Muda Bora Mash Bora Roti Kabritana Daskuli Pista Kakir Kuli Payasana Kapura Amrita Keli Ramba Kirashara Amrita Rasalanga Dvadasha Pakora Luci Sinisar Puri Ladura Sabali Bhojana Korena Krishna Hoye Kutuhali Radhikara Pakayana Bibida Byanjana Paramayanande Krishna Korena Bhojana Chale Bale Ladu Khai Sri Madhu Mangala Bagala Bajaya Deya Hari Bolo Radhikari Gani Hari Nayane Rakone Ripta Hoye Kai Krishna Jasoda Bhavani Bhojanande Priya Krishna Subhasita Bari Sabe Mukha Prakaloy Kore Sari Sari Asta Mukha Prakaliya Jata Sakagane Anande Vishrama Kore Baladeva Sane Jambula Rasalane Tambula Masala Tahake Krishna Chandra Suke Nidra Dela Vishalaka Shiki Pucha Chamara Dulaya Apurva Saya Krishna Suke Niraya Yasomati Anga Priye Danishtaya Nito Sri Krishna Prasad Radha Unje Hoye Prito Lalithari Saki Gana अवशेष पाया मन मन सुखे राधा कृष्ण गुण गाया हरि लीला एकमात्र जहाँ प्रमोदा भोगारती गाय ठाकुर भक्ति विनोदा भक्त वत्सल श्री गौर हरि भज भक्त वत्सल श्री गौर हरि श्री गौर हरि सहि गोष्ठ बिहारी श्री गौर हरि सहि गोष्ठ बिहारी नंद जसोमती चित हरि नंद जसोमती चित हरि भज गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला
Krishna